Hi everybody and welcome to SA Rugby Magazine. I'm Kevin Ferguson, got to know now, and I've got Mark Keo. Some dark clouds over the Springbok camp.
I think there's a rainbow. I think there's a rainbow. Boks by 10!
Me, I hate to be right when I bet against the I didn't bet, actually didn't profit from it. Under Niebauer, what's the record, Mark?
Under Nino, but like with Rassie not being at the ground, it's 4 from 11. And 36%. I did my math before this one.
So is the glass 36% full or 64% empty?
I think it's 64% full because Rassie still has to come back on match days.
He's coming back.
November, we'll see the real Boks in action.
Yeah.
And you know what was interesting? When you hear Jacques chat after games, the Ellis Park test and the one in Adelaide, and he didn't have answers. He said, tactically, we could have done more. Tactically, we were naive as coaches in the box. When you're coaching a Springbok team, you can't be tactically naive. I mean, maybe at club level, you can make your mistakes. And he's a fantastic defense coach, a fantastic support to Rassie. But clearly, when those big moments come, that's where Rassie has showed his acumen. When he came back, we beat Wales and we beat Scotland. He was at the ground, not at the ground for the Twickenham test, wasn't at the ground in Australia last year for those 4, not at the grounds for these ones. And there's just something that's not right. You know, I wrote after Sunday, there's something amiss with this team. And I think it's in those decisive tactical moments, and that's where the value of a very good strategic coach, which Rassie Erasmus is, comes to the fore. So I think what will happen is November, he's back there. He saves Jock's job. Jock stays as the Springbok coach in name, and Rassie starts making the calls, and we see a change in fortunes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, well, you say November, but we've still got 3 tests to go before then. And it's very likely that they're going to lose all 3 tests because, what it's done is the All Blacks losing to the Pumas, and the South Africa weren't close. That score flattered South Africa. I mean, they were hammered, absolutely hammered. I see guys playing without passion. I see guys looking, they just don't have it either anymore. Has this team? I get the sense that the team are not fighting for places. That they think that they're going to the World Cup regardless, and there's not much to play for.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on, Kevin, and that's kind of what we spoke about on air and off air in the week, is that this is a team that's stagnated. And Mark, you and I spoke about it. I said if Rassie had to be parachuted, 2018 Rassie had to be parachuted into the Boks in September, there's no chance he's starting Joe Dweber, Dwayne Vermeulen coming back from surgery, 2 ice-cold guys on the bench. None of that would have happened. Rassie's a guy who historically his strength is being ahead of the curve. He came in, he sent the B team to DC to lose to Wales while he got the A team ready to beat England. Against the British and Irish Lions, he made some gutsy calls on what he was doing with the front row to start that series, and they won. This is the first time in his tenure where you feel like the Boks are behind the curve and they're reacting. And so I think that is a consequence of them stagnating. And there are guys there that I think have felt like they're in a comfort zone and they're going to the World Cup. What's needed is competition for places. The coach needs to show he's open to picking a guy who's potentially 19 years old to start on the right wing like they've done this week, because that keeps everyone on their toes. And in rugby, you can have the greatest plan, you can have the best players, but if they're not on edge, if they're not on point, if they're not sharp, you won't win.
And Mark, you wrote an article saying that the team should have 10 changes.
Yeah, well, on Saturday I said there needs a shake-up. I said there should be 10 changes.
He demanded there should be 10 changes. I demanded
10 changes, and these are the 10s I wanted. I thought the only one was a cert that I'd get with Ulrich Lowe would be in there, and he's the only one that's not in. But they made 8, so I just wanted to thank Rassie for sharing my view on who should be starting.
Yeah.
But going back to your
guys...
guys...
All you do, Mark, was pinning the obvious.
Exactly, Kev. And then on SA Rugby, they ran a poll, and I think 53% of the many thousands agreed with the selections, and another 40-odd said not necessarily the same selections, but definitely an overall. And I think 2% said just keep it as it is.
Correct.
So going back to the earlier point that you guys made, 2019, great run into the World Cup to win it. Rugby Championship into the World Cup. Playoffs we peaked. 2020 COVID, come back to 2021, somehow win a series against the Lions with no preparation, just guts and glory and on memory. Then went into the Rugby Championship and were particularly poor. and haven't been better since. There's been hints. Now, the match in Nelspruit has to be put in context when you see the Pumas knocking over the All Blacks in New Zealand. You see Ireland coming back from a one test down to knock them over comfortably in the next.
Pumas came back from 9 points down.
I think they're mentally drained as much as anything else. And this was the danger year, and they haven't had Rassie there. And they have gone, since beating Argentina in the Rugby Championship, they are 6 from 13. And they've lost to nearly everyone with the same group of players. And they've really only integrated the new ones at a push.
Yeah.
Where if they had gone with a lot younger side this year and lost 7 out of 13, the narrative would have been so different. It would have been, but we've got their World Cup winning squad, the Lions squad's there. We know what they're going to do. But they've flogged the same horses and they've come up short.
Spot on.
What was Alistair Coetzee's record?
Also just around the 50 mark, 50%.
So let me ask you this: why isn't there more groundswell for getting rid of Nebo?
Because of the way that thing was structured, Rassie never stepped away. He basically, his mate went into the head coaching role, addresses the media, and has a lovely title. But the guy who runs the show there is Rassie Rasmus. It's never changed. Why it's so obvious now is because he's not at match days because of the World Rugby ban. So
Also, Rassie
That ends at the end of September, huh?
end of September, end of the Rugby Championship.
Also, Rassie and Jacques did win a World Cup and beat the British and Irish Lions. Those are things that Alistair never did. And the coaches that we've called for the sack before haven't had that level of success. So
Look, I think
they've built up enough credit. It's not like we're saying get rid of the coaches.
But the key is that very few see Jacques as the head coach.
Yeah, spot
so
on.
we're pointing out his record, but in the context of Rassie not being there.
Spot on.
Because Rassie is the decision maker. It's Rassie's strategic plays. That it's selection identification is his. Jacques not overruling Rassie. You know, and they've worked together in different guises, but Rassie's always been the boss, and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
What has changed is his mate is very lost in their coach's box with Felix Jones next to him and not Rassie Rasmus next to him.
Correct.
And you can't, your comment in the week, you can't coach by mobile phone. It doesn't, I mean, I don't think the connection's even very good. So I just know when those players have Rassie there and he gives them a belief, and they have him next to the field, in his guys as a water boy as well.
Yeah.
Technically, just kind of, he finds an extra 5% that is definitive. And
So let's talk about the changes that have come into the side and how we think that's going to impact the game on Saturday.
Obviously, rugby is not like PlayStation. You can't just make 75 changes and then the team just carries on as normal and operates at peak efficiency. We spoke about it before the Bloemfontein test. Cohesion is massive in rugby. A team that plays together regularly, has familiarity, builds combinations, and is more and more difficult to beat as time goes on. These guys have been thrown together again out of the blue on a week's notice. I think they are closer to getting the right players into right positions and creating some competition in key parts of the roster. But these guys haven't played a lot of rugby together. This is Damian Willem's first start at Fly. I'm ecstatic to see he's getting this opportunity. But the day that he comes in, Lucanio Am, arguably the best outside centre in the world, is out of the picture. He's injured. Andre Pollard is not even in the matchday squad. Alton Yankee is also injured. Willie Leroux comes back in from having been dropped last week. There's a lot of changes to this team. Kanan Moody, great prospect on the right wing. But his first test start, and he's playing outside Jesse Creel and not playing outside Lucanio Am. So I think it's fantastic they've made these calls. I hope they've done it to get the best results and not to teach us all a lesson that the team that they picked is the one that they like. But
well, to go with that, and you keep on saying that to me, but the team that they pick gets smashed. So it's not the best result.
Correct.
So if this team goes out and gets smashed,
yeah, what have we really lost?
They've got two teams there that they've lost.
Yeah.
It's if the same team went out and got smashed again, you'll always ask, what could that player have done?
Right.
So when I look at the team, the tight five is a very good tight five. They're very used to playing with each other.
Yeah.
Then you've got Khaleesi and Franco Moss played a lot of rugby together, and Jasper Wiese, who's been an integral part of the setup. So the pack is not that pack that played against Wales in Bloemfontein. That was like a Barbarians pack you put together. They needed a few games. Very good individuals, but they struggled. So I think that pack is a massive improvement on the pack that started in Adelaide.
Yes.
Defensively, I think we're going to be found wanting in the backs. Jesse Creel at 13 is now Lucanio Am. And Australia are one of the best attacking sides. They cut us open with our best defensive pattern in Brisbane last year and scored 4 tries in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So expect tries from Australia.
Yeah.
But I think there could be a bit of individual magic at 10. Kane and Moody could do something special. So I'm glad to see those players there on attack. But I do think the pack is fundamentally where we could come up trumps in Sydney, because they are so cohesive and they have played a lot together. And you know, when you see a tweet that says breaking news, Marks to start, the best hooker in the world, breaking news. You know, he is the best hooker in the world, and I'm glad that he's getting a start, and I'm glad Kitsy's getting a start, and go and empty the tank for 60 minutes. And the other guys must front when they come on.
Do you think that that starting pack is going to play most of the game?
I would like to think they should get to 60 at least, especially the tight five.
Yeah.
Again, you know, I thought Lewis looked mentally shot at the end of the Ellis Park test and in Adelaide, so I thought he may get a rest.
Yeah.
And that Franco Moster could potentially go to lock. Ulrich Lowe could then come in on the flank or onto the bench. That hasn't happened. I'm very surprised, and one never knows what's going on in the camp.
Yeah.
But that Ulrich Lowe has been with the team for seven matches and has played 50 minutes of rugby, and I think Evan Riss must be saying, thank God I'm at Belleville training, not in Sydney carrying tackle bags, because he would have
wasted his time.
Yeah, well, it's like he gets introduced to the team culture, but for 6 weeks on tour, you know, those bacon and eggs become a little bit stale and a little bit dry when you just know you're going into the stands to watch a game when you could be with your teammates preparing for the URC. I'm just glad that there's been a reaction, and it's a reaction to those older players to say, maybe this is their wake-up call for the World Cup, because they just haven't performed. And I do like they brought Willie back at fullback, because they give him protection to Kane and Moody. Willie is the key in terms of defensive organisation.
Yep.
This really must be last chance saloon for Jesse Creel. You know, then he's a win, then he's a centre, and he's played 50 tests. But speaking to Scott Gibbs as well, he felt Jesse's best days were 2015. That period 13 to 15. So, you know, maybe he knows that, and that's we see something special on attack. But I would say we've got to look elsewhere for that. Yeah. And then just give the Hendricks Willems combination, run them through till the end of the Rugby Championship. And it just asks different questions of a defensive pattern with an unknown like Damien Willems at 10, and let him kick for goal and give him the responsibility. He can't, if he shanks 3 in the beginning, he's done no worse than Yankees and Pollard.
Yeah. The reason I was asking about the pack playing through is because obviously on the bench you've got, as much as we like Dion Fourie, he's a fantastic player, but a test hooker is obviously something new to him, and Dwayne Vermeulen coming off the bench, and Kwagga Smith. So I'm just keen to see what the impact from the bench is in this match.
Well, I'm just glad they're giving Dion Fourie a chance. I mean, 38 years old. And
Rudy,
just magnificent, like building for the future. But I'm a huge Dion Fourie fan. Reward. I think him on the last 20 minutes with him and Kwagga.
Chaos.
One chaos, but also how they can slow down opposition ball. And that's an area we've always gone for the big ball carrying loose forwards. And we try to turn Sia into a fetcher as such, and he's not. He's also a big ball carrying forward. When we've had guys on the ground and slow down a side like Australia or England or New Zealand's ball, they struggle. They struggle for rhythm, and that brings our rush defence into play completely. So I've always felt we've got it wrong in our obsession with height. And 3 big loose forwards for kickoffs, receives, and for the line-up. And if you look at New Zealand with McCaw, and you look at Australia with George Smith, full war. Go back to the days of Neil Back with England.
David Pocock,
David Pocock. They had guys that just you have to be really good to get that quick ball, which is the key to unlocking any defence in today's game. So I think Dion Fourie will have an impact. I'm glad they've left Kwagga on the bench to come on with 30 to go. I think it does give that bench a bit of potency. Again, the only thing there for me, Kobus Reinach has played in April. He went and had an operation, and what we have learned from this year is no matter the quality of the player, Dwayne Vermeulen, fantastic player. Frans Steyn, fantastic player. Herschel, Alton Yankees, talented player. They came into the cold and had 3 of the worst test matches I've seen them play. Frans Steyn, I thought it was Frans Malherbe at the fullback. I mean, he made more mistakes in 3 minutes than he's made in his career, basically. Dwayne was poor against the All Blacks in that first 40, and Alton Yankees had the worst 40 minutes you can expect to ever see. And I think the selections have done them a disservice, and I just hope that Reinach isn't asked to go on early, and then we bemoan he's out of kilter because he hasn't played a game of rugby since April. And it's not that they've been out rehabbing. They've had big operations and then come back. So surprised that he's in there. I thought Herschel may get a go there. And then the only surprise, obviously, Ulrich Low. But, geez, I'm glad they've given it a shake-up. It's made me encouraged for the weekend. Boks by 10!
Well, let's get to it then. I mean, last week South Africa were favoured. This week now Australia are favoured. It's such as is the flip. And it's been a big flip in terms of betting. Australia favoured by 1.78. You can get, I think, 2.2 on South Africa. Spread's about 3.5. Where's your money?
I called it last week. I said they'd win in Sydney. I love the changes. I think that it is a high-risk gamble, but I'm going to back the Boks to take this.
I don't even have to look at that Australian side to know the Boks. This week is tailor-made for the Springboks. Backs to the wall, written off by everyone. Are they any good? Are they World Cup holders or world champions? For them to come out and say it was all part of the master plan. You see, and I also don't know if Australia, how big was that win for them in Adelaide, and do they back it up? But I'll tell you now, if they do back it up and pump us, and we got some serious shit in the talk because we got problems. Then they beaten our AMB team over there. And that's the team that took 48 in San Juan. But I'm going more confidently this week. I'm going for a Bok win. I think it'll be with single digits, but backs to the wall kind of thing, and in the familiar surrounds of Sydney.
Give us a score.
25-19 to the Boks.
Z?
I'm going to say the Boks are leading by 10 at halftime, and they win it by 6. So I'm going to say Springboks 32, Australia, whatever 32 minus 6 is.
26.
There we go, baby. That one.
I just think so many changes coming in. Rassi not there. The only thing they've got going for themselves this week is the acclimatization to the sleep deprivation. You know, they've now been there for 2 weeks, so that's when it evens itself out. So there shouldn't be that grogginess that a time like.
Right.
Yeah, so, but I still think Australia are going to beat them. I still think how many is it now, Mark?
4-30.
4-30. That's about 87% victory record. I'm going to have to go with Australia by 3. I'm going to say 26-23.
And you know that Australia's historic record in all test matches is 50%. So that shows how absurdly
that record
crazy that record is against the Springboks. But just on your point of grogginess and timelines, those Argentinians didn't look very groggy in the last 40 minutes.
In Christchurch, man, yeah.
They flew from Buenos Aires to Christchurch. I mean, they may as well have gone to Mars.
And we'll get into that in the next video. So.
Nice.
Anyway, guys, let's hope for a Bok victory. Absolutely. I won't be betting on the game. I don't want to profit from a Bok loss, but I don't see it getting better for the Springboks.
And please note that, because if you are following Kev on the Money Man account on Facebook or on Twitter, he put $300 down on a Pumas win. Gave him 3,300 rand, and he's got the slip to prove it. So when he says that the Boks could lose,
and we had 13 people guess the correct score.
That's right.
And so there's always a twat or a troll out there. And someone said that 1,000 rand I can't get a 6-egg omelette. And I'm just thinking, what a fat bastard! Who orders a 6-egg omelette? But besides that,
at the Mount Nelson.
1,000 rand in Cape Town still gets you a great night out.
Exactly.
So we're going to have another score prediction this weekend for $1,000.
I thought it was going to be $10 this weekend.
That's what you said.
No, I don't want. Look, the more people win, the happier I am. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming in, and we'll hope for a Bok victory.
Yeah, we had 10,000 people enter Kevin's predict the score. 13 out of 10,000 got it right. When I asked Jandre, our statistician, how many got it right, he said, oh, plenty, but not all picked Australia to win. I said, well, then they didn't get it right, did they?
They got the score right, wrong team.
Wrong team, but let's make it 15,000 people enter. You got the whole week to enter. And let's see if we can get a return of about 20 on a Bok win.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, guys.